Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
We're back, feeling a little bit smug due to recent results, but we haven't had the easiest ride. But it's nice to see certain other teams lead the Champions League semi-final before we do. Well, I could say we do, but we never know. We might pull it off. But I'm very sceptical at this point. It's been a rough 10 days for us as football fans, especially if you support the Arsenal men at the same time as well. Drained. But as always, I am joined by Matt. He's trying really hard not to laugh at me right now.
Love this. It's actually a duck on the pitch at Villa Park.
No way.
Bescott Poundland Arena. Sorry, not Villa Park. It's not quite Villa Park this time around.
Bescott.
Yeah.
It's delaying kickoff, so that's why I was laughing. But yes, it is a bit.
Hang on, wait, Matt. Hang on. There's a duck on the pitch.
Yes.
Has the ref blown the whistle for foul play?
Ah.
And as everybody just heard, Adam
Has to be done.
also in the room. Yes, Adam is also in the room. But Matt, how are you?
Oh, I'm having fun. And I think honestly this week, the fact we haven't had a game, the fact we can relax and everything because we know that we've got to play on Monday, has probably helped a little bit. It's just getting into that rhythm again of just trying to find women's football wherever you can.
No, absolutely, definitely. And Adam, how are you?
Not great. It's been a bit of a nightmare Friday. Came home to find myself my electronic fob let me back in the building, so I had to leave, get a and find that my entire internet at home has failed. So I've gone from the patchiness of hotel Wi-Fi to the it's been a bit of a rough Friday of watching game.
No, definitely.
I was hoping things will cheer me up somewhat.
Oh, hopefully. Just to let our listeners know, or if you're watching on YouTube, the boys are watching the Villa game in the background, and if there is a goal, if they do start screaming their heads off, because it was a cracking goal by Villa, you might want to turn the volume down.
Yeah.
But the latest news, the under-21s have brought home the Capital Cup for 2023. They were 1-0 down at half-time. To come back 2-1, Taya Goldie sent us level within minutes of the second half, and she was also player of the match too. We've got a few fixture updates. Chelsea away is now on 21st of May. It is a 12:30 p.m. kickoff. Tickets will be on sale via Arsenal, but if you can't go, it's on BBC Two, and it's end of season. Again, we've got an early kickoff at 2:30 at Meadow Park. On, oh my gosh, I've forgotten to write down the date.
It's the 27th of May.
Thank you. On the 27th of May.
Because some decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have the Premier League on the Sunday and not let the women have the Sunday instead, and switch it around a little bit. Everyone thought, we'll just let the men's have their final day and not have the women have their final day. So, in the nicest way, fudge you, whoever decided to do that, and do better.
Yeah. No, I definitely completely agree there. I mean,
and there's also like
is
his internet gone?
I think so.
It's the FA Cup final. No, I'm here.
Well, if you let me get my words out of my mouth.
Oh, no, it's because I realised I had the mute button. pressed down, and that's why it wasn't working. Forgot to unmute this.
And this is why karma is my good friend.
Yeah.
I told you to come and get you, Adam, didn't I?
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
Just about hearing. Right. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. The Champions League final for the women is on the same day as the men's FA Cup. Was it the FA Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is another thing that's really irritating. But I know which one I'd be rather watching anyway. So, even if regardless of who goes through on Monday, I will be watching that because I want to hate Barcelona, but I do enjoy the way they play with certain members of their team. I just enjoy watching them in general. We are, in other news, we are 3,000 tickets away from the sellout. How exciting is that?
Not just that, we've also got we are 3,000 tickets away from a certain video being released as well, including one of our own and two of our Scandies. So that will be very interesting to see what they've done. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's a bank holiday as well, so happy bank holiday to everyone. And enjoy it. Hopefully, it's going to be nice weather, and everything.
I'm hoping it'll be a scorcher. I mean, it's been fairly warm down in London today, so I'm hoping it will continue. Although it's been overcast, but I want some sunshine.
Touching wood.
Yeah, hopefully. But another thing that I do want to talk about is the lack of ACL research for the girls. I mean, it's all very well doing research on ACLs when you're looking at a man's physicality, but I think for the women, it's very, very much different. I feel like there's not enough research. There has been research done. It's been submitted and it's not being used. Matt, what are your thoughts on this? Well,
I was smiling because it's just the same old things, isn't it? I remember when I was sort of similar talking about injuries and things like that on Cannon Chatter, and I didn't know what words to use because I didn't want to be offensive and try and be. It's an awkward sort of situation to be a guy and try and understand the situation. It's the best way I can put it. But it's basically, I think it's almost like for a guy, if I'm going to use the example where a guy's fractured my foot because he's 6'8" or something ridiculous like that, and he's just stamped on my toe. I was out for about 3 months. I know that's not exactly the same timeline, but those 3 months for me, it was painful not only to just walk, but it was painful because there was things that I was missing out on. I was missing out on work, which means paydays and things like that. I was missing out on football things that I wanted to do. I couldn't do. I just had to sit down and just essentially, it was almost like a calling off period. If you have to do that for 9 months, it's the mentality of trying to get back into it, and that's not just on the recovery. The fact that the research itself has been done, but it's not being used to the fullest. It makes you wonder, what are the clubs trying to do, or what is the club protocol in place if things like this happen?
No, definitely. I mean, we know obviously Beth, Viv have been out for a while now, and Leah's now joined the group sessions in the medical room. Well, she's just started hers, and Beth's gonna drag Leah through it all the way through. There's no doubt about it. But obviously Beth is spoken about. She's obviously lost her mum earlier this year, and she can't play football. She's spoken out and said she's basically lost her identity of who she is. I think it also contributes to the mental health of the players as well, because when you're at home, you're injured, you can't do anything. You are going to sit on social media. You are going to see what people are talking about, and I don't think that helps. As much as there's a lot of love out there, there is a lot of hate.
I think Beth, it's sort of a warped fortune, is that she's got someone at home with her who is running this journey with she has a running, well, I say running because of the not run at the moment, who she can sit with, and they can maybe joke about it a bit, and I feel more sorry for Liz on her own, and she I think we all know, imagine she's absolutely devastated, because I reckon she won't play is so close to the end of the season. I think these things usually take a year. I mean, Reyes did her ACL. He still hasn't played this season. She was on the bench, but she didn't come off the bench. She hasn't made a come.
To be honest with you, I was expecting that against Chelsea. I was expecting it. So I was a little bit excited to see her back, because I do enjoy watching her play.
If the game had been different, if, let's say, Barcelona had given us the rampant thrashing we'd hoped, she might have got 10 minutes to the end, but I reckon she'll probably make a comeback in the final. That's what it'll be.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Final, score a hat-trick, everyone will love her.
Do you know what? I think she'll probably come on for the last half hour max, because I don't know what Barcelona's fixtures are right now, but there's no way she's going to play a full 90 straight off the back just because it's final.
There's also a difference in this ACL. So we'll use, as you've mentioned, Adam, Alexia Putellas. I originally thought you were talking about Lena Hurtig for a minute, but I got back into it. So, the difference between Alexia Putellas and Taya Goldie. You got Taya Goldie, youngster, had her ACL done last year in February. It's taken her essentially over a year now to get back to playing 90 minutes. She played the 90 minutes against for the under-21s in their cup final. Also, we should probably mention our under-16s being unbeaten all season and winning the FA Youth Cup as well. But just to compare that, it depends on the player themselves as well. It could be anything. We don't know what the actual cause is. Could it be the equipment that they're being used? Could it be anything else you want? It could be a number of things. It could be the fact that
it could be.
I could probably say just
biological play on. It could be the fact that they're
untrained.
It could be the fact the recovery's not right. The problem is there are so many permutations. That's the thing, and we can't. And as under research, that's why the correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because the pitch has been bad, big mystery, and it just feels that every game we watch now, we're just waiting for somebody to crumple, and it's devastating.
Who is it that has turned around and said that they're going to? Is it Nike or Adidas? They're looking to alter their boots so that they're available, or it might even be Puma that have turned around and said that they're going to try and change the style of the boot so that it fits women's football. So you'll essentially, instead of having a unisex football boot, you'll have a football boot that's made for men's feet and a football boot that's going to be made for women's feet, and that'll be that. Or if you whatever you fall on the sexuality scale, you can pick one or the other. It doesn't really mean a difference, but it might mean the difference between not having as many injuries as there is in the women's game at the moment compared to there is at the men. I would probably say as well, I think there's the women's game's more aggressive than the men's. You look at someone like in the Champions League, especially our game against Wolfsburg, physically it was a battle and a half.
Yeah, no, I think that battle was made a little bit easier with no pop available, which was a relief for me. But no, I completely get what you mean. Wolfsburg have a very physical side. We saw that last season. Hence why we got our free kick and that Tobin Lottie combination. I will relive that a million times over because I can just visualize it in my head now. I could just sit there and watch it all day, honestly. And you can't tell me Tobin Heath didn't mean that.
She knew exactly what she was doing with it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, the thing is, you look at the way we play over here, there's only certain teams that play physically. And for me, that's Man United. Bayern are very physical as well. That's how the Germans play their football. From what I've seen with Spanish teams, not so much. As in, it's more technical and clinical for me.
I'd say Barcelona are more technical, but they do have some physical players in their team. You look at someone like a Rolfo, who will be physical on the sideline, on the wings even. You're probably looking at someone like a Paredes as well. Some of the midfielders, they're willing to show themselves in that midfield, and it's going to be interesting whoever plays them in that final, that's for sure.
Definitely.
I was just going to say, my internet has pretty much done its ACL, so I'm not going to hang around on this one. So I wish you the best of the best on the next one on the Tuesday. But I wish
no worries. We'll catch up with you on Tuesday night, Adam.
Good evening, and hopefully, evening everyone, and good luck against Wolfsburg.
Oh, she's hit the crossbar. Rachel Daly.
Ugh, come on, Rachel. I need the fantasy football points. Oh, Adam, I am sorry. I am going to say goodbye. I do apologise. I got distracted by Matt there. But Adam will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully, we will be in high spirits by then. But yeah, Barcelona are through to the final. Was it really ever in doubt? They've not lost in 60 games. I think that was the stat that Leanne Sanderson gave us over the commentary.
With this game, you thought if it was going to be one of those games where it was going to be one goal in it, at Stamford Bridge, you can probably say, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. But then you would expect Barcelona to come alive in their stadium and go full for it. And in the end, it just sort of came a bit of an issue because, okay, they went and got their second, but then you think in the second overall, the first goal on the night, but they didn't look to add to it. It was almost like, well, we're through now. It doesn't matter. We can save our best performance for the final if need be. Whereas Chelsea went on to get that equaliser, but they just didn't look like getting that second goal. And it just goes to show that Barcelona have got a great side at the moment. And although as many people call them out for hoarding players and things like that, when you're one of the best teams in the world and you've been in Champions League finals, you've won leagues, you can basically win the league without much worry, then it's something that it's almost like they're the Arsenal pre-WSL. They're able to just go and walk leagues. They're able to go unbeaten for X amount of games. If I remember rightly, I think this is the first time they've let in a goal as well at home for over 80 odd games. So it's huge for someone to go over to the new camp, or I believe it's the Cruyff Arena, which is their original home, and go and score against Barcelona. I mean, we did it last season, albeit we lost 4-1 on the night. But it just goes to show at times Barcelona are vulnerable, and you just got to make sure that you can get at them. It was like Leon did at the first 20 minutes. They just went out, got them, and they ended up winning the game 4-0 last season.
Yeah, no, definitely. Another really, really interesting thing I do want to think about. I said, I was thinking about this before the podcast, and I was like, do we dare talk about what if we make the final now? What if we beat Wolfsburg on Monday? Do we dare?
I remember a couple of podcasts ago, I did say it feels like it is. By the way, 2-2 now. Nikita's Paris scored with a header. But back to the what if. It is the most Arsenal season if you think about it, because you've had injuries, you're putting players square pegs in round holes. I kept on mentioning Katrina Kuhl playing right wing when she's a central midfielder, which is a bit bizarre when you've got other players that could fulfill that role. Unfortunately, Lena Hurtig's had her issues this season, especially when it comes to injuries, so she's not been able to help out as much as we'd like. But it's just feels like if we were to get to a European Cup final, the fact that we got there would be huge. It's not based on the fact that this Wolfsburg team have previously won, I think it's the last two from Bundesligas in a row. They've got a fantastic squad themselves. So there's no denying that. The fact that they've got some top talent in there, albeit I think we've talked about some of them being very aggressive in nature and perhaps being overly so at times. And then we've had it's just one of those things. I was thinking about this. At least every club has one sort of player that is overly aggressive. Yeah, and if you don't know who it is, then
I wonder who else could be.
But it just goes to show you, you kind of need that in your squad. If you don't have that,
they're the backbone, aren't they? Really.
Yeah. If you don't have that player, it feels like when things go tough, you're going to lose out. It could be like a Leicester who have Leicester really got that, has got that aggressive bone in their nature. You've got to sort of go through. They feel like good players. They don't feel like they're aggressive or they're willing to be aggressive throughout. They'll be nice in the tackles, and it's just one of those. But if we do manage to do it, I mean, you could perhaps look at previous seasons where we played Paris, ended up losing during that lockdown tournament and lost to them 3-1 in the end, but it was too little too late. There was nothing going, which was a real shame. It was last chance for a lot of those players as well, and it just never happened. But it's important that this time around, that if we do get to the final, we got to make sure that we carry it on. We can't afford to be like, okay, we've got there once, that's enough. It can't be I'm trying to think of other teams that have gotten to the final recently and not been there. It's a problem because it's always been Wolfsburg, Lyon, or Barcelona that have been in that final for the last 5 seasons. So to break Chelsea was the last one. You're on mute, Lottie.
My bad. Sorry, everybody. I'm sitting here talking to myself. I think the stat that I read somewhere is their 4th season out of 5 they've made it to the final. So times are changing. Is it time for an English club to win it or win it again? Maybe. You never know. But at this point, if we do get past them on Monday, and I kind of already know what's going to happen over in Amsterdam. It's Eindhoven, I should say. Sorry, I do apologise. Kind of already know. As long as the girls put up a fight, I'd be happy. But we'll see what happens Monday. It's really difficult. I'm not going to ask for score predictions today because I don't want to drink. I don't do score predictions before big games. Especially like this. Adam hasn't also given me one yet. No, he hasn't given me one at all. So sorry about that.
No. Right, you can edit that out anyway.
Yeah, no, I probably won't. I'm just like, sorry everybody, I have got a bit of a underlying cough and I've almost coughed down your ears. But anyway, yeah, no, not going to do score predictions for this. I'm nervous as it is. It's been, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's been a tough 10 days. I'm not going to inflict that on Matt just yet. He's not got his head in, for the audio people on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. He's currently got his head in his hands with a big smile on his face because he knows what's coming.
I genuinely do not know. This is the thing: is that I think we weren't. We were saying that if it was close, it would be an amazing occasion, and the fact that it is 2-2 on aggregate, and that it's not. I thought they were, no, they're showing the key of Paris celebration.
No worries.
Doesn't matter.
I'm so tempted to say, Paris loves the Arsenal. Paris loves the Arsenal. La 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 la. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those games where the crowd's going to really got to play their part, and
definitely. If you are going, please, 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 do not be singing any Spurs songs. I don't want to hear them mentioned in it. They've never been in the Champions League. They've never had European football. I mean, they could be relegated this season. Although I will miss our annual 2 times batterings and the 6 points, but maybe somebody else deserves a chance to come up. But it's all to play for. Speaking of the relegation battle, we've got Leicester this weekend coming up. They are 10 points at the bottom of the table.
Next weekend.
Next weekend on Friday. I do apologise. We do have them next Friday. I did want to touch on the relegation battle, but we'll be doing a full Leicester preview on Tuesday night because the game is Friday. We're only doing one podcast next week. Sorry?
It must be my early birthday present. Katie Zellen's got a yellow card.
Hey!
Sorry for that. If you want to just quickly run through that again.
No worries. Next week we've only got one podcast because we are playing Friday night, so you will get your Champions League preview and your Leicester preview next Tuesday. But looking ahead to the WSL, I mean, as a relegation, we do have Leicester. The bottom of the table, 10 points. I know I've just said this, but Brighton have got that manager bounce and kind of got themselves 2 points clear. At the moment, for me personally, it's a 4-way race. Tottenham, Reading, and Brighton and Leicester. Looking at these fixtures, they're kind of scary, and I've got to give kudos to Matt at this point and say well done for calling a Leicester and Reading relegation battle to the end. Although I do think it could go 3 ways, could do, but look at Leicester's fixtures for the end of the season. They've got Liverpool at home, Arsenal away, Chelsea away, West Ham at home, and Brighton away. I can't see them getting very many points from that. I'll be honest with you. Arsenal and Chelsea, there's no point there. Not going to happen. I don't think. Liverpool, maybe. West Ham, I don't know. Again, Brighton, they've got their new manager bounce. What do you think of Leicester's fixtures, Matt?
The problem is with Leicester is that obviously there's not a huge amount of support. So they're using the men's stadium at the moment, but they're not getting the influx. So it's only when they get a big team like Arsenal and the Chelseas that you're getting these big numbers into your stadium. So when they play a Reading, they're not getting the huge support that they would get, and that's what's causing them problems. I will look back at, if Leicester were to get relegated, I would look back at their game against Reading where they lost 2-1 and they were leading 1-0 at half time. That would be one game where you'd say that was potentially where you could have had 3 points.
Yeah.
And you could
threw it away, sort of thing. Yeah,
you threw it away, and I it's just a bit of a problem now that you have someone like a Leicester who's been in the Super League now for 2 seasons, yet they carry on being in the relegation zone. It's not like they've adapted; they haven't learnt from their mistakes. So it might have to be the case of where they have to do a Bristol City, a Liverpool, where they have to get relegated in order to learn from those mistakes. It will be a case of if Leicester can get something, I have a feeling it's against Liverpool or West Ham. And the only reason that is because West Ham and Liverpool are basically mathematically safe. There's nothing on the line for them. And again, this is one of the problems with the Super League is once you get into those 10 to 15 points and you're one of the lower teams in the league, you don't really care anymore because you know you're safe and it's also, you know, that financial pressure is off as well because you can almost go out and lose those sort of games. But hopefully that all changes in the next couple of seasons.
No, definitely. I mean, I know on this podcast we have been calling for a bit more expansion, which brings me to the next subject, which is Tottenham Hotspur. And I really want your opinion on this. I read something earlier this week about Daniel Levy. He wants us to get rid of our relegation zone. I wonder why. And wants us to have the same format as the NWSL. I think that's the right. Oh my god.
The American version of the Super League, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, and no relegation. And he's clearly come out and stated he's not investing in his team because they're at risk of relegation. But how do you expect to compete if you don't invest in your team? Yes, you've invested in Beth England. Yes, you've got Mano Iwabuchi on loan. But that is not good enough. You're meant to be a big club. I put that in inverted commas as well. And you've won two games and a draw since October in the league. I mean, do they deserve to be relegated at this point?
Again, it goes back to the things that I've been talking about, is that because you've only got that one spot going down. If you had that, either the relegation playoff where second from bottom end up playing like the second, so I can't remember who it is at the moment, but I'll just say that it's London City Lionesses for this moment in time.
Yeah.
London City Lionesses, say, versus Tottenham at the end of the season, it gives them something extra to fight for. At this moment in time, because there's nothing to fight for towards the end, a lot of teams just give up and are sort of already planning on their holiday season, and just going from there. It's a real shame because everyone wants to see a very competitive league, and at this moment in time, can you say that WSL is competitive at both ends of the market? And I'd say yes and no.
Because everybody wants to stay up, but nobody wants to go down. But there has to be a team that goes down at this stage. I mean, they've got a reasonable run, but again, they've got Brighton on a new manager belt. Man United soaring high, top of the table. Reading trying to claw their way out as well. And then West Ham. And West Ham seem to know how to get around Spurs when they're at home. So it's not looking good for Spurs, but they are currently the safest at 13 points. At the minute, there's literally three points in it. And I do apologise. I have lost my table.
So
I'm assuming it is 13 points. So they're currently the safest, but I don't think they're going to be very safe very long.
It is a problem, isn't it? Because you've got last season it would have been 12 points gets you over the line. This year it's a little bit more, so you can say it's been a little
14, more. 15 points that'll get you over the line. I'd say
it's usually about 18 points that gets you away from safety. Last season it was 30. It was that 13 points. This year it could be the 14 points is the mark. So it's a case of just making sure that it continuously goes competitive. And I think it would be nice to, instead of the FA to turn around and say, oh, we want almost like a Premier League for women's football, they need to market it as something completely different. We've got some brilliant teams up and down the league. So I'll throw on Nottingham Forest, who actually won their League Cup against Watford's at the weekend. You had someone like Newcastle, who are close to getting promoted in their league. So there's a chance they could be competing for the playoff spot in the Championship, which will change next season. I'm sure we'll probably talk about that as well. But there's also other teams in there that aren't backed by men's teams, and that's the likes of London City Lionesses. That's the likes of London Bees. That's the likes of Bridgewater as well. You're on mute. You're on
Sorry,
mute.
I do apologise. I just said Reading, and I went, no, they're actually backed by their men's team. So, because I know they do a lot of work together, so I can't actually say that. But yeah, no, as you were saying, Matt, continue, please.
It's even the likes of Coventry United. I know they're going to get relegated in the Championship this season, but it's a bit of a shame, really, because it's another. Obviously, they've had their issues both on and off of the last couple of seasons, especially financially, which goes to show you that the women's game isn't what people are expecting. That a lot of these problems that they're having off the pitch and on it, they need that financial backing. So there needs to be at some point some sort of a benefit to you to set up your own women's football club and not have the backing with a men's club as well. It almost essentially that would be the ideal scenario, because you don't see someone like unless they're really hugely backed with a lot of money now. I'll take a Salford City in the men's game to quite easily go through and get promoted as quickly as possible, or unless you. So these sorts of teams need to keep on going. I'll also point to Lewis as well, because they are basically Equality FC in the Championship as well, and what they're doing is amazing. And should they ever get promoted into the Super League, they'll probably be setting the standard for the other teams that aren't equally backed by their men's or their women's teams than they are the men's. But it's also an opportunity for them to see how they've done. Obviously, they've had the FA Cup game a couple of seasons ago against Arsenal. They've quite recently played. I think
it was at Man United.
Man United, thank you, in the FA Cup as well. So it's that exposure that they're getting.
Yeah.
But it's these clubs need to also be protected. You don't want to see them be liquidated or get be given minus points and deductions and things like that, because they need to be there needs to be a safety net for these teams. It can't just be everyone's backed by a sovereign nation who's got billions of pennies to spend in their back pocket. They need to be able to protect these teams.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. I could not put it better myself. I mean, I'm just going to quickly go over Reading's fixtures and Brighton's fixtures. Reading have got City away, Villa away, Spurs away, Chelsea away, and in that mix, Arsenal at home because of our rescheduled match. So 10. Nope, that is Brighton. I have completely read that wrong. What a lemon. So let me just do that again. Reading have City away, Villa away, Spurs away, and Chelsea away. Brighton have got Spurs away, Arsenal at home, West Ham at home, Everton away, and Leicester at home for the rest of the season. I think this team with the most scariest fixtures they're going to really struggle. I've got to give it to Reading. We were worried about Reading a few podcasts ago because they are the only non-Premier League backed team. Well, when I say not backed, I mean no funding. But we could say the same about Spurs and West Ham, to be fair. To be honest, they're not really supported by their owners. So it's gonna be sad to see them go. Do you think they'll come back if it is them that go?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Is a lot of these teams, it takes them a year to get adjusted, and then they bounce straight back up. You look at Liverpool, 2 seasons. Bristol have just got promoted as well this time around. 2 seasons.
Yeah,
Next
and
season,
they've moved ground as well.
Yeah,
they've moved ground, which is really exciting for them.
That's so helpful for everyone.
Yeah, no, totally agree, because I did look up where their ground was, and I was like, how the hell am I going to get there?
The Academy Stadium that they play in, it's so awkward to get to. It's out Bristol as well, so it's just a bit bizarre.
I take it. I'm assuming it's in the middle of nowhere, from where I was looking at, because all I could see was green when I zoomed in on the map. But Although no, we asked the Arsenal aren't playing this weekend. There is WSL action this weekend. We're currently on the 83rd minute over at the Villa game. It is currently 2-2. 83 minutes to go. What is the final score? I am going to go 3-2 Villa.
You hope that.
Yeah, I'm praying, of course.
It's.
I would absolutely love a Rachel Daly hat trick for my fantasy football.
I would just love it if when Manu went up for that corner and she nearly scored last game. I'm just kind of hoping that Hannah goes up the other end and does exactly the same thing, just for.
Yeah, I think it's, but she might be a tad better than Manu because she used to be.
Was
it her who used to be a striker? Yeah, it was.
She was at Villarreal
and then Villarreal switched her to a keeper. So we're going 3-2 to the Villa with about 5 minutes plus added extra time now. Leicester City and Liverpool, 12:30 kickoff tomorrow. What's the score going to be?
See, this is the problem: is Liverpool are almost on the beach because they know they're staying up.
Yeah.
But ideally, you'd want to see that was the other problem as well. Is that last week they were home to Brighton, and Brighton went and won the game 3-1. So I think just Liverpool are on the beach. They know that there's nothing going to be there. So I'd imagine Leicester are going to win that one. I'm going to call it quite tightly, though. I think that it's going to be like a 2-1 win for Leicester.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the Leicester fixtures, and I think out of the next 5, they could possibly get points out of 3. I can't see them winning at Kings Meadow. Can't see them winning at Meadow Park. I just can't. Although we are into UFC at the moment.
Twist in the story if they were to go to Kings Meadow and get something. They actually nearly did last season because it was one of their first games, and it was a real shame because I think it was Harder who scored 2 goals. No, it was Harder and Kirby who scored in the last couple of minutes, and that just killed Leicester off. And it was a real shame because they actually went and had a go at Chelsea, and you don't see many teams go to Chelsea and do that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So I guess they could be heading there with confidence then. But I still, although we are hoping Leicester will pull something, I can't see it realistically.
A lot of people said that about Chelsea playing Liverpool at the start of the season.
Yeah.
We'll get more.
Adam's prediction for this game, he has messaged me. He has seen Liverpool win 2-1. So that is that's a full panel, basically 2-1. Oh, well, obviously, I think Leicester are just going to nick it, hopefully. And then that will make the relegation battle a little bit more interesting, I think. On to the next game, Adam has called for Spurs to beat Brighton 2-1. I'm going to go Brighton to beat Spurs 2-1, just because it's Spurs. And I'm because I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm anti-Spurs. I never want them to win. So, what do you think, Matt? How do you think it's going to go?
It was Alessi. No, it wasn't. It was Martha Thomas trying to shoot wide. This game, Tottenham. What can you imagine? Beth England's going to end up scoring again. She's in a really weird situation. She's scoring, but they're not winning games. Almost like they've got the ingredients to go and win games, but because of maybe it's just because it's Tottenham at the end of the game.
I'm not defending them here, but we know Levy won't invest in them because of the risk of relegation.
That's the problem. Is if you're not investing in your team, there needs to be a sanction for that.
Exactly. Although you can argue he has spent X amount of money on Beth England.
Yeah, it's just
that's not going to solve your problems. It's not going to solve your problems. I mean, the only outstanding defender I can actually call from Tottenham Hotspur is probably Ashley Neville. I have to say it because I've cashed in on points on that with her for the fantasy football, but she is recorded repeatedly one of the top high scoring defenders with the fantasy football when you look back over past seasons. But if you don't have the quality like Ashley Neville, you're not going to get anywhere. One defender doesn't make a defence.
Ashley Neville thrives on players around her, and even though she's not actually the captain, which is a bit of a bizarre one. You would have thought someone would have given her the captaincy by now.
Exactly.
But she thrives on just being able to bomb forward and be able to put those balls in the box, which is why she's one of the highest scorers in fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting one, but it's just bizarre. You see how is this game going to go out? You'd imagine with how Brighton have performed against Liverpool, they're on a bit high, 3 more points, and they're essentially safe. And they'll be looking to build on their future in the summer. So I'd imagine that Brighton will win that one. I'm going to say it's going to be another 3-1. I don't know why, but I know for whatever reason, Casey Robinson.
I was just going to say, don't you think Katie Robinson's going through a purple patch again?
She's somehow managed to chip Rachel Laws and score that goal.
Yeah.
But for me, if she manages to do it again, that gives her a little bit of more of an opportunity. The stats, if anyone wants to see them, they're on FBref. Her stats do not back her being playing for England, essentially. But if she can get a few more goals and assists towards the end of the season, she'll be in that England squad, and the stats will back that.
Oh no, 100%. I completely agree with that. But the thing is, like, we've seen glimpses of Katie Robinson play for England, and when you're coming into a new team in a big stage like that, I do feel like you need to give them a chance. For example, Jess Carter for me, Lauren James, you need to give them a chance because we're all familiar with the Euro team, and that was a machine in itself, absolute beast of a machine, and we were comfortable with that. But where we've got injuries going on, a lot of injuries, we've seen the likes of Esme Morgan come through, Jess Carter, and
Esme Morgan
Lauren
plays
James.
as a fullback. She doesn't play as a centre back.
Exactly. That is. I was just coming on to that. And I've just still trying to fathom Serena's decisions that game. I really was, even sitting at the halfway line that day. Still can't work out. It didn't look right. It didn't feel right at all. It
does make you wonder why not. Like you look at some of these teams in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They have club links. So Steph Horton and Alex Greenwood would play on one side, and then you would have like a Millie Bright and a Lucy Bronze on the other side, and it would make sense because you have some form of club link. Rachel Daly's just got player of the match, just to let people know.
Wait,
so
that's brilliant.
But it's this England squad. It's so difficult to call now because people are saying, is Steph Horton going to come back in? There's an opportunity, but if Steph Horton comes in, she would have to be the Jem Beattie of the team. If you understand where I'm going with this, it's
100%.
She comes off on the bench. She swaps with someone else.
We rarely see Jen start, and because she's that player that comes off the bench when you need her. And sometimes this is going to be really harsh coming from me. I don't feel like she can do the full 90 anymore. It's going to be really harsh for me to say because we've seen her do the full 90, but sometimes I just feel that she runs out of energy.
She's a fantastic player.
Oh, I'm not taking that away from her. I never will. But she's not our first choice to start. I mean, Lottie's ahead of her now as well.
Yeah.
When we look at that, but when you look at that centre back pairing, you want Leah Williamson there. You want Rafaela, the best in the league. But now we've got no Leah. Who is going to be that regular pairing for the next year? That is my question.
You've also got me wondering about next season as well. I know we'll probably go into this a bit more detail, but I'm just wondering if Jen gets a 6-month extension to take her towards January. So then you essentially, and then we bring in Anna as well. So then essentially a centre back would be Hafa, Anna, who's actually playing for Villa tonight, as well as Lottie, and then Jen as well, making that fourth centre back that you need in all the squads. So people are suggesting that we might even go for a centre back this summer. But if I'm honest, if we do bring in a centre back, can we turn around and say to them, look, you're going to only get an X amount of games? United have only gone and won it.
Oh no,
Guess who it was?
Millie Turner.
Yeah. I'm hoping it.
I got her in fantasy football as well. I'm happy, but I'm not happy. Okay, 94. It's still going when the 90 plus 5 minute. Well, we got the score right, just the right way round, wrong way round. Anyway, devastation.
That's really poor. It's a really poor goal. No, I don't even know who's Stanforth hasn't even gone to properly mark her. She hasn't even. It's just, and Hannah Hampton's just frozen solid on the ball. It's also a shame because Villa deserves something from that, and that's a real shame.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's actually gut wrenching, especially when you got Rachel Daly scoring within 9 minutes to kick things off.
Just goes to show you need to go and score more than 2 goals against United.
Oh yes, definitely, absolutely. All right. Now last game of the weekend, as I was on Sunday at 2:00. Man City and Reading. Adam has gone 5-0 to Man City. I'm going to go 3-0 to City. I just can't see Reading winning at the Academy Stadium. Can't see it.
You could probably talk about 6s and 7s again, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
The fact that Bunny Shaw is in the form of her life, Chloe Caddy winning the race.
Yeah, especially with Rachel Daly going level with her tonight. She's going to want to get her goals up.
I'll call 6-0.
Okay.
I genuinely do not think Reading are going to be able to do it. I know for some reason a lot of these teams, like especially West Ham, when it comes to Arsenal, they'll come and block us. But when it comes to everyone else, they just like let everyone run riot. It's a really weird mentality to have, as you would have thought. If you're playing one of those top teams, you'd want to have that block against them, but it goes out the window within about 5-10 minutes as West Ham.
Yeah. No, definitely. All right, I think that is everything for tonight. Thank you for joining us. This is rather one of our shorter podcasts that we normally do. Feels a bit strange Adam left us halfway through, but unfortunately his internet was not working. He will be back with us on Tuesday. Hopefully the hotel Wi-Fi will keep up and running, and we'll have him back to get all his feedback from the game on Monday night. Matt, thank you for joining me again tonight and persevering with me, especially with me and my mute button tonight. Didn't want to function properly. To wherever you are in the world, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're listening, and depending on your time zone, come on, you Gunners.